Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something massive, a rapidly expanding and, frankly, highly consequential conflict, the 2026 Afghanistan-Pakistan War. We're going to completely cut through the noise today. We're looking strictly at the ground realities, the hard data, and the diplomatic fallout to figure out exactly what is going on in South Asia right now.
Okay, let's dive into this because when a neighboring superpower looks at a situation and calls it a blatant act of aggression and a direct threat to regional peace, you know for a fact the geopolitical stakes are absolutely massive. This was the official statement from India's Ministry of External Affairs right after Pakistan's June 2026 airstrikes inside Afghan territory. That tells us immediately we are not just looking at some localized border skirmish anymore, we're looking at a conflict sending literal shockwaves across the entire region. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the breaking point, move into the escalation and open war, unpack the information war, look really closely at the human toll, and then wrap up with the global geopolitical fallout. Section 1. The breaking point. To actually make sense of the violence unfolding on our screens today, we have to rewind just a bit and look at the historical friction that laid the groundwork for this whole crisis. Let's move to this and see how it builds, because, this wasn't just a sudden explosion of violence. The roots trace all the way back to 1947 with the creation of the Durand Line. That's the international border Afghanistan has historically challenged. Fast forward to the Taliban returning to power in Kabul in 2021, and that friction, it amplifies. Big time. Pakistan repeatedly claimed militants, specifically the TTP, were finding safe haven in Afghanistan. By 2025, those boiling tensions led to a massive surge in border skirmishes. And then we hit the breaking point, February 2026. After major terror attacks inside Pakistan, Islamabad launched retaliatory airstrikes across the border, which effectively ignited the open conflict we're dealing with today. Section 2, Escalation and Open War. We've officially shifted from diplomatic friction to a multi-front military confrontation, and the scale is staggering. In response to all that escalating violence, Pakistan launches Operation Ghazablov Haq, which roughly translates to Wrath for the Truth. Pakistan's Defense Minister Khwaja Asif was very frank about it, literally terming the situation an open war. We're talking about a massive, highly coordinated campaign of air and ground strikes aimed at Taliban and militant positions across eastern Afghanistan. This was the exact moment things rapidly expanded beyond isolated clashes into a full-scale regional military op. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of the tit-for-tat escalation across multiple domains. Up in the air, Pakistan is using fighter jets to strike deep into major Afghan centers, Kabul, Kandahar, Paktika. But Afghanistan is absolutely not sitting back. They're retaliating with drone strikes inside Pakistan, even reaching the capital region of Islamabad. Then look at the ground. Intense cross-border artillery shelling is just tearing through the landscape. Pakistan is heavily shelling provinces like Kunar and Nuristan, while Afghan forces are firing right back into Pakistani districts like Bajar and Karam. And in close-quarters combat, Pakistani forces are doing border clearance operations, while Afghan forces have actually reported capturing several Pakistani border outposts. It's highly active, constantly evolving, and honestly, neither side is backing down an inch. Section 3, the Information War. It's really crucial to grasp that this battle isn't just about artillery and jets. We're stepping deep into the fog of war here, where a massive battle is being fought through official state narratives. Whenever a strike happens, we get two wildly conflicting versions of reality. It's like a split screen. Pakistan insists adamantly that they're conducting precise, intelligence-based operations, strictly targeting TTP and ISIS-K terrorists, hitting their infrastructure and ammo depots. Conversely, Afghanistan claims these strikes are a blatant assault on their sovereignty, hitting civilian homes, religious seminaries, and causing mass civilian casualties. Both sides fiercely defend their contradictory stories on the global stage. For the international community, trying to parse fact from fiction, it's practically impossible. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how tightly the flow of information is being controlled. In Afghanistan, the General Directorate of Intelligence, the GDI, has instituted severe media blackouts. Independent journalists are facing incredibly strict restrictions on reporting any Taliban military casualties. We're also seeing some really alarming reports from local sources about citizens being forced, sometimes through threats or financial incentives, to participate in anti-Pakistan protests. Plus, there is a total, absolute prohibition on photographing or filming the sites targeted by Pakistani airstrikes. So verifying facts on the ground, it's a total nightmare for independent monitors. Section 4. The human toll. Despite all that information blackout, the humanitarian impact,
You just can't hide it. Let's look at the on-the-ground reality for the people caught in the crossfire. 115,000. Let that number sink in for a second. That is the staggering amount of Afghan civilians forced to just abandon their homes. According to the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, this continuous barrage of shelling and ground combat has uprooted entire communities in eastern Afghanistan. Families are literally leaving everything they own behind just to find some modicum of safety. But this isn't just a one-sided issue. Over in Pakistan, 3,000 civilians have also been forced to flee. While the scale is obviously different, border communities in both nations are seeing their lives turned completely upside down. Generations of families who've lived along this mountainous divide are suddenly finding themselves in makeshift camps, not even sure if they'll have a home to go back to. So the crucial point is this. Despite the heavy censorship and all those conflicted media narratives we just unpacked, international organizations are tracking a very deadly human cost. UNAMA, the UN assistance mission at Afghanistan, confirmed that at least 358 Afghan civilians have been killed, 358 lives lost as a direct result of these strikes, with hundreds more severely injured. And remember, in a conflict with such tight media control, these are just the confirmed numbers. The reality could be much higher. And for the people who actually survive the strikes, everyday existence is hanging by a thread. Nearly 20 health facilities are completely shuttered, cutting off almost 80,000 people from basic medical care right in the middle of a war zone. Education, totally disrupted for over 13,000 kids in Kunar and Nangarhar. Vital water systems are smashed to pieces. And in places like Nuristan, specifically the Kamdesh and Barji Matal districts, road closures from all the cross-border fire have created literal siege-like conditions. Folks aren't just dodging bombs, they're facing severe food and medicine shortages. It's pushing the whole region to the absolute brink of a massive humanitarian emergency. Section 5. Geopolitical fallout. With the human toll climbing every single day, the final ripple effect of this conflict is hitting the global stage. Let's see how the world is scrambling to handle this. The global diplomatic scramble is in full swing, mostly because absolutely nobody wants to see this spill over any further. UNAMA is desperately urging immediate restraint and begging for the protection of innocent civilians. Interestingly enough, we're seeing China step up to attempt some quiet mediation, hosting working-level talks between Pakistani and Taliban officials in Urumqi, trying to pull everyone back from the edge. Meanwhile, the US and other global powers are watching every single development like a hawk, and regional neighbors across the Middle East and Asia, they are universally calling for a ceasefire and a desperate return to dialogue. Which actually brings our narrative right back full circle to India's sharp, unprecedented condemnation that we started with. This statement from the Ministry of External Affairs goes way beyond just calling out the strikes. It characterizes the military action as a persistent pattern of reckless behavior meant to externalize internal failures. When a neighboring superpower issues a statement that is this politically charged, it just underscores how deeply alarmed the international community really is. This isn't just a border dispute anymore. It's a regional powder keg. And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? What does this escalating, multi-front conflict mean for the long-term stability of South Asia? We're watching a historical border dispute morph in real time into a modern war fought with jets, drones, and artillery. It's creating massive humanitarian crises, all while the world watches with bated breath. The situation remains incredibly volatile, and honestly, diplomatic efforts haven't forged a lasting peace yet. Thank you so much for joining me today as we unpacked all of this. Keep asking the tough questions, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.